This is a new kind of conversation between your city and the people that run it. Andy Burnham, as an Evertonian, probably should mention that as the new Prime Minister. But yeah, on that basis, yeah, I'm going to have to referee it.
That's the Prime Minister onto you. I'm most proud of what we've built with that impact model because it doesn't go away. We stay in that area.
Everyone has to call him the big dog. It's so weird. But
never had that before, by the way. We've been awarded by the UN child-friendly city status. Now, I think from our perspective, that is not about putting some certificate on the wall and we can all pat ourselves on the back and say, isn't this wonderful? Of course, it's a nice accolade, but actually it's how you live it, isn't it? It's about making sure that the voice of young people is always heard and then acted upon, not just kind of, oh, we've had 5 minutes conversation, thanks very much. I think whatever anyone's affiliations, they're always very welcome in this city. Let's just kind of make sure that's kind of highlighted.
Yeah. I wasn't booing Andy Burnham, just for the record.
Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Mersey Views. My name's Dylan Evans. I will be your host and voice of the people, if you will, because this is a new kind of conversation between your city and the people that run it. And sitting right next to me is someone that does just that. Liam, would you like to introduce yourself?
More than happy to, Dylan. And thank you so much for presenting this new series of podcasts for us, because I'm Liam Robinson. I'm the leader of Liverpool City Council. Very privileged to do this role. Came to Liverpool 20 years ago. When I got a job at Lime Street, because my working background is working in the railway.
Trains?
And all things transporty. But I've been very lucky to be on the City Council for about 18 years now.
Oh, wow.
And 3 years ago became the leader, so the political head of the council. Great privilege to do it, but the buck stops here at the end of the day. So kind of any issues with the council, good, bad or indifferent, it's me working with the team of how we address those. I suppose the other bits I should say, whilst I've lived in the city for 20 years, I wasn't a born and bred Scouser. I'm a very proud dad of 2 little Scousers. Good. So my kids, my son's 9, my little girl's 7. They keep me on my toes, and we live in Wavertree, me, my wife and the kids. Although I often say I sleep in Wavertree because I'm often out and about around the city and don't really get home until very late and leave very early in the morning. But that's as it should be at the end of the day. So thank you for doing this new podcast set.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. So it's a different theme every episode, and this week's theme, this month's theme, is a child-friendly city. So Liverpool has just been recognised by UNICEF as a child-friendly city. What does that technically mean? What's that mean?
I think we're really proud as a city to have achieved that accolade. There's only a few cities in this country and only a few around the world that have achieved that. It is a accreditation that the UN, UNICEF as their kind of children's arm, give to cities that can demonstrate they take on board the views of young people in everything that they do, and the services they provide for young people. We're always constantly trying to improve that. So really embedding everything that we do as a city, young people being at our heart. And I always think that's very, very appropriate for Liverpool, because of all the cities I've lived and worked in around this country, I always believe in this city more than any other, kids come first. And it always should be the case. So we're really pleased with what we've achieved with UN child-friendly city status. But I think the important bit, Dylan, I think this is really important, not just to me as leader of the council, but really important to everyone right across the city, including everyone that will be listening or watching this vodcast, is the fact that it's all about kind of what we deliver for young people. It's not about the kind of certificate on the wall per se. So it's things like, for example, the way we've improved children's social services recently. That's now rated as good, which is a really good process of how we've turned that service round over the past 3 years. It's things like the family hubs that many of our listeners and viewers hopefully use in their communities that provide obviously lots of services for very young children, but also the rest of the family all the way up to early 20s, but also mothers and fathers and, kind of guardians and carers as well. And it's equally some of the other investments we've been making, the fact that we're doubling the budget for youth services so we can put more youth workers out in communities, giving young people positive options. It's about the investment we're making into all of the city's play parks to upgrade them. It's things like the free leisure passes that we're giving to all young people to use the gym or the swimming pools in the lifestyles leisure centres. And it's also about how we're pursuing a more devolved approach towards school education. So we have a closer relationship with our schools and so many other things as well. But it's basically saying that in this city, rightfully, children and young people should always come first because they're the future of this city. It's as simple as that.
So you just mentioned that Ofsted graded our children's services as good. What does that mean and what was it before it was good?
Okay, well, 3 years ago, unacceptably for this city, our children's services were rated as inadequate. And we took a very sort of strong approach to say, that isn't good enough, we're going to turn this round, we're going to fix that. Because children's services at the end of the day is the service that most of our most vulnerable young people may have some contact with, particularly children in care, for example. So lots of the different things we've done is taken on a lot more permanent staff to address it. We've been able to reduce the number of children and young people actually in care placements, be that children's homes or other placements, and get them into good family situations, foster care or back with their own family. And really having a real focus to make sure that any young person that may become vulnerable and may need that help and support, we deal with it quickly and properly and intervene as quickly as we can to give them the best outcome and opportunity, which is what we'd want for every young person in the city. I always like to say, if it wouldn't be good enough for my kids or your kids, it shouldn't be good enough for any child in the city. And that's the focus we've always got to give it.
So we know that over the summer in particular, in young people, antisocial behaviour is up. What's the council doing to sort of combat, help that?
I think from our perspective, it's about how do we provide positive options for young people so they've got the ability to enjoy themselves, but in a positive way. So a couple of examples I'd give. One of the reasons that we've wanted to give free gym and swim passes to all young people is exactly that. It gives them some positive activities that they can do, as well as the kind of health benefits that come from that. I think we also know, though, that we've got to be providing more outreach youth activities where young people are at the end of the day. It's one of the key reasons we're extending the youth service budget to be able to provide more youth workers on the ground in communities. And an example I would use, last year we used about £500,000 of funding that's actually used for health services to hire detached youth workers that could go into communities, often of an evening, to engage with young people, signpost them to better alternatives, largely to address kind of the issues where some young people were taking ketamine. So when you think about some of those very practical examples in communities where young people's heads are getting turned because they're not being pointed in the right direction, we know that kind of more youth services and particularly more detached youth workers where young people are is an absolutely vital way of pointing our young people to the better options that are out there for them.
And I think that nicely brings us on to the two guests we've got.
Yeah.
Should we get them in?
Definitely.
Let's do it. You're watching Mersey Views and it's time for our first ever guest. I'm so excited for this. Please, guys, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sue Gregory. So I am from Everton in the community, which is the official charity of Everton Football Club, and I have the pleasure of being the CEO of the organisation.
Hi, I'm Ismail, 15 years old, and I describe myself as a youth social entrepreneur. doing lots of things outside of school, like, for example, working with the Tiber Centre in Toxteth and the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine to try to combat some health inequities around diabetes.
I'm glad I didn't have to divulge my age, did I? No.
No, but I've seen here, Ishmael, you are 15. When
Yeah.
I was 15, I was just bothered about like FIFA. Like, and you've started a business.
Yeah.
What's the business, and why did you start it?
So it's a window and car washing business. Started it 2 years ago unofficially with a group of friends from school. So I think that a lot of people my age will start side hustles, but that grew over the past 2 years. Now we're actually working with young people in the community, offering them some kind of employment and the opportunity to learn the skills needed to run a business, but also that you can use in school, that you can use in future employment. I'd say that the business itself grew from community roots, for example, like offering some low subsidized rates for low-income households or elderly people that can't afford to do the cleaning themselves. So it started off as the window washing and the car washing, but the community sort of shaped the business that we became in terms of offering young people the chance to work and sort of shape themselves, because it's a pivotal time.
So you've been 13 when it started?
Yeah, it was a project.
13.
It was a little side hustle project.
That's inspirational.
Yeah, but now we are actually, just in June, it's been a year since we've been incorporated in Companies House. We've been now looking at trying to offer 18 to 21-year-olds some employment through the Trailblazers programme, so young people that aren't actually in employment, education or training. So we've been trying to sort of combat that and help them to take initiative and learn the skills needed to run their own business.
You also mentioned the tropical medicine.
Yeah, so I'm working outside of my business with the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. So they're a big international organisation, and I'm working with them to sort of look at how diabetes can be raised on awareness in Liverpool, because I think that it's sometimes a taboo topic in Liverpool that you don't usually talk about diabetes, especially with the elderly generation. They won't usually talk about getting diabetes, or young people, they don't feel comfortable sometimes, and that lack of awareness and that lack of spreading the information, it leads to people getting diabetes because they don't know about the causes. So what we do is we try to break down those stigmas and spread the information on diabetes.
Nice.
Brilliant. I suppose you're really kind of inspirational, Ishmael, in the sense that you're not just talking it, you're doing it. And I suppose one of the bits we're really keen to learn from the City Council's perspective is, now we've just been announced and awarded as a UN child-friendly city, although if I'm honest, I'd rather it was called young person-friendly city. What do we need to do to make sure that kind of the voice of young people isn't just heard, but is acted on, just in the way that you're doing with your business, but your work in the wider community as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm actually on the Liverpool City Region Youth Combined Authority. So every Monday evening we'll have a meeting, and sometimes we'll have external guests. They'll talk about policies. So what I'd say is, what the council could do is create more of these youth boards, but also if there was a way to expand funding. So what I'm doing with my business is to help young people to get into employment. But if the council could offer some funding or apprenticeships or some more funded placements that could support other young people that aren't always in that 18 to 21 age bracket that the Trailblazers programme is funded to do, it could be really useful if the council could increase the funding and the opportunities for young people of all ages.
Brilliant. Well, we need to have a longer conversation on that, because we are funding some apprenticeships. We need to kind of get input from people like yourself. And we are extending our funding for youth services as well. So it'd be great to have you and other young people at the heart of shaping that offer.
Just out of curiosity, do you feel heard by the council?
Yeah,
when you
I would
speak
say.
to them? Do you think it's not like tokenistic? Let's say, do you actually feel like, oh, these are listening here?
So because I'm on this youth board, I feel listened there. But I think that so many young people don't hear about these kind of youth boards, and they're not sort of driven to attend these. I think the most initiative I've seen some friends take is to go to youth clubs, but no one really hears about going to like a meeting with the City Council's youth board to try to help young people to use their voice to shape policies. So I'd say that because I'm on the youth board, I feel heard in that position, but there's not so much opportunities for a lot of young people to even know about how to feel heard.
For you to change.
Yes. No, I was riffing off you, mate. Yeah, you're in charge. Look, so everyone knows Everton and the Community is an exceptional, charitable and community organisation. And you do lots of things for young people. How does the power of the brand of Everton Football Club really open those doors that kind of perhaps other organisations might not often be able to? Tell us a little bit more of how football can empower some of the things that you do.
Yeah, I think to our football club, the community is just as important as football. And if you think about all the change, the football club has been embedded within the community for over 100 years. We were considered an anchor institution because we've always been at the corner. The football city like Liverpool, it's so important. So having that badge, I think we've got a reputation that people trust us because we've always been there, we've not moved, and, we support the community. So that's the first broker that people, and we're there, we've got a front door that they can just walk through and get support. So I think once they might come because the attraction of the badge, but once they're there, we keep them there by amazing staff, what we do. We've been embedded in the community for 40 years, nearly 40 years. As a charity, we do everything from, people from zero to end of life and everything in between. So I think it's that trust, them trusting relationships. And we have a simple ethos where we'll embed within a community, we're right across the city region. So people see us, they trust us, so we build them relationships. And once you've got that trust, no matter what agenda's there, different projects, different titles, we don't move and we've still got that trust. So I think it's the badge that opens the door, but we keep the people there.
Mm. So is it the people's place?
Yeah, well, we've got a whole campus. So we've invested 13 million in the shadows of Goodison Park, but we also operate in 167 locations across the city region. So on the campus, we've got a hub, a digital skills hub, which is around employability, and a new DWP youth hub. We have got the Blue Base, which is people living with Alzheimer's, dementia, our veterans programme. It's a social hub. But our last building has probably been one of the most impactful, was our People's Place. Mm. So where I said you see a need and you act, we used to get so many people turning up with suicidal thoughts. And like we've just said, they didn't know where else to go. Different organisations might have moved, but they just flopped at our front door because they trusted us. So we're like, we've got to do something about this. So we raised money to be the first Premier League club to open up a purpose-built mental health and wellbeing facility. We have a GP, clinical psychs. So you can literally come through the front door. With that, see a need and act, we've now realised mental health just doesn't, it's not just mental health stands alone. It impacts employability. People can't get jobs if they've got poor mental health, but also physical health has a big impact. So in that building now we do heart screening, neurodiversity screening, diabetes screening, changing the stigma. And that's why that's one of the big things that bugs me is amazing people like this. If you just join them dots up, and that's also what the People Place is about.
It's really inspiring with the mental health thing, because it's a football charity. That might be the first thing you think of, necessarily mental health, but it is as important as...
You think we've probably had over 5,000 people walk through that door alone for mental health. We're doing cancer, rehab, and, there's lots of things impacting poor mental health. And the more and more need for our young people, if we can do more preventative work, and that's what the People's Place has been really good. We've had on the day suicide attempts. We've had young people who have been really struggling, but now have come through and now, are now fitting well to access employability. So it is vital. It was just built on a mound of grass. It's not that much square footage, but being plonked in the middle by a football stadium has huge impact.
Yeah. So, particularly when you think about all the different things Everton and the community have done on young people's projects, what's the one you're most proud of, Sue?
The whole offer. So what I'm proud of is it's not one, because this is sometimes not one particular project. So we could get funding for a project that might stereotypically say, okay, it's a year's contract. The way we've got our youth projects is that it's called an impact model. So no matter when you walk through that door, you can zigzag in and out. And I'm proud of that model because you can walk in at 8, maybe experiencing antisocial behaviour or just feeling lost and lonely. You can then get the support you need, have fun, but you can come back at 12, 15, 16 for a variety of different needs that you need in your life at that point. So I'm most proud of what we've built with that impact model, because it doesn't go away. We stay in that area. So no matter whether, there might be initiatives like knife crime, antisocial behaviour, employability, NEETs, you're a young person when you walk through to Everton, the community. You leave that at the door and you just become Paul, John. Doesn't matter whether you go on an employability course for 6 weeks, then you get a bit of mentoring, you get your mum mental health support. You come in as you, not neat, no labels, and you can zigzag and get support. And that's what I'm really proud about, that model that we've created.
Brilliant. And Ishmael, what next for you and your company? Yeah.
Okay, next, so we've been thinking about expanding, after reviewing the kind of social model, we've been thinking about becoming a CIC, potentially a charity. But I think next for my company is helping to support young people this summer. So hopefully by the end of next week, we should have 3 to 5 trailblazers out in Liverpool offering window and car washing services. But the main thing is about helping especially elderly people that can't afford to clean their own properties if they're on a pension, or perhaps they can't do it themselves due to mobility issues. So I think hiring those young people could be the next step, but also thinking about how they can make the most impact, not just for themselves, but also for the community. So it's not just about making money, but it's about trying to work with the Enviro Clean business, but also to help them to become upstanding kind of individuals.
Mm. And just while we've got the leader of the council here, the big dog, everyone has to call him the big dog. It's so weird. But
never had that before, by the way. Don't get called out of the house.
Stick now. If I walk into me and say, "Hey, big dog," do you think that's going to go down well?
Everyone barks as well afterwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, if there's one thing you could kind of pick,
I'm going to meet and call him big dog.
He loves it. He loves it. He's going all red, look. Beat. But
because it's August.
If there's one thing that you think the council could do to change young people's lives, even just like specifically where you live, is there anything you'd just pick that would change everything?
I'd say that there's so many organisations like myself that I'm running that aim to support young people, and they've got the best initiatives. But I think that a lack of funding, it creates it's like everybody's competing to get that funding to be able to support young people. Yeah. So if the council could boost funding in particular areas like Toxteth, where you've got loads of community initiatives and loads of people that want to help themselves and do something positive, or organisations that want to help a group of young people, but they're competing, maybe there's ASDA fund that's come out and the organisation, they want to do half or something over the summer, but due to that small pot of funding, it's a competition where some organisations are going to be able to deliver that help and some can't, and it's the young people or the people that are trying to be supported by the organisations that lose out at the end of the day. So I'd say that increase in funding that could help organisations, that could probably be one of the biggest impactful things that the council could deliver.
Brilliant.
There you go, break that down.
Yeah. No, I think, to be honest, I very much accept that challenge, kind of. Clearly, Liverpool City Council experienced a lot of cuts over the past decade through austerity. As we're now starting to get more money from central government, we're trying to invest that more consistently into those frontline services. And I think the bits I would always kind of point to in youth service related things is we've actually doubled the size of the youth service budget. We've gone up from about 900,000 to an additional $1 million when you look at the different pots we pulled together. Still more we've got to do, by the way. The things we've done with family hubs across the city, we were very proud to protect the children's centres we had, and the fact we boosted those up into family hubs now. But I completely take on board your point about consistent funding, because actually things like the HAF programme, and some of the kind of listeners and viewers may well be sending their kids, grandkids, nephews, nieces, friends off to those through the summer holiday period. What more can we do that's consistent? So I think for us it's lots of different things, like what we call the Community Renewal Fund we've just launched, which is for the 30 electoral wards, communities that have had it toughest over the past decade or so in terms of deprivation. And that's going to be a fund that's administered by local councillors in that area to be able to fund lots of different things in their community. But as part of that, if there's a really good youth project and youth idea, then that would be great for those to come forward to see what we can do. Because I think about my own area of Kensington, where for many years we very deliberately put some of our local funding to Central Youth Club so it can provide positive activities virtually every night of the week. And that consistency piece is really important. I suppose it's another reason why we've made free leisure passes at all the lifestyle gyms and swimming pools available to all young people, because we want young people to have positive activities that they can choose to do without the barrier of, oh God, how do I afford to do that? So lots more we've got to do though, but I really take that on board, and that will keep ringing through my ears when we set next year's budget and beyond.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I've actually been part of lots of community projects that have unfortunately had to end halfway through, or they can't continue just due to a lack of funding. And it's unfortunate when you see a group of young people that have come together, become friends at the start of the project, but when it has to end, it's unfortunate. But of course, like you said, there are limited funding that the council can offer. But it would be great to see young people that can benefit, and the positive outcomes that can come from some funding for organisations.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
So same question for you, Sue. If you could choose anything the council could do to benefit what you do, what would you say? Just one council change.
I think it's one front door. So I think there's lots of different organisations, and I've just learnt loads of Ishmael, and thinking, why didn't I know, about the work that you're doing? I think sometimes you get the money and we do projects, and I think it's understanding that long-term commitment. So you can understand it's free gym pass, great for your mental health. Is that going to be a long-term project? What we've got planned around child, the different ages, what's planned, of just understanding. But for me, a young person might walk through our door, and even us as practitioners find it hard sometimes. Join up the dots around mental health, education, if you want support. I think it's sometimes not always money, although, joined up funding is necessary, and maybe an activity to say, I've got funding that can help you, you've got, and look, more joined up. But how we get a framework to join all the services. So if I've got a young person who needs support, I phone one number, I go through one door, and I can access. And I think that'd make things a lot slicker. The insights would be better. You'd understand the trends. Because I just think sometimes it can be disjointed with the different. And I understand how it's hard to manage funding, but just a framework of one front door for everybody to go through and understand all the different departments.
I think that's a great point, Sue, because let's be honest, community organisations, individuals shouldn't have to have a PhD in the way local government is structured to find their way through who's the right person to speak to. I suppose looking at where we're up to, but where we've got to go next, I think we're really pleased, one, that our children's services have now been rated good by Ofsted, and over the past 3 years, been a huge effort to turn that around and get it into the place it should have never been anywhere other than. But how do we take that onto an exceptional level? And whilst there are things we've done to try to consolidate that front door, how do we make that slicker? I think the other element as well is the point that we've been awarded by the UN child-friendly city status. Now, I think from our perspective, that is not about putting some certificate on the wall and we can all pat ourselves on the back and say, isn't this wonderful? Of course, it's a nice accolade, but actually it's how you live it, isn't it? It's about making sure that the voice of young people is always heard and then acted upon, not just kind of, oh, we've had 5 minutes conversation, thanks very much. And I suppose for me as well, I was thinking this city, young people and the voice and needs of young people is always more revered than perhaps in other places. Doesn't mean it's not elsewhere, but I do think, there's that family ethos about this city of, kids have got to come first. And it's how we keep sort of drilling into that and making sure that that is the case, because to be blunt about it, our young people are our future, and that makes them our most precious resource, isn't it, at the end of the day? So whilst that's a lot of rhetoric, I think it's how we live that, and I think there's a lot more we can do to consolidate. It's what I also hope
about the potential of devolution and the fact that, Andy Burnham, as an Evertonian, probably should mention that as the new Prime Minister. But on that basis, I'm going to have to referee here.
That's the Prime Minister onto you.
Particularly when he talks about kind of devolved opportunities and equally just made the announcement about kind of the way we do skills training and looking as much about kind of technical qualification. And I do hope we'll get new opportunities that have a more devolved approach to school education.
Does that help you as a leader for that devolved approach? You can see what is going on in your area. Will that help you? Do you feel?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I actually think that if we've got greater ability at a local level to pull everyone together, because I don't think anyone's deliberately worked in different directions. I think it's just sometimes that you get silo working. I honestly think if we get the ability to have a greater devolved opportunity over schools, that could be huge in a city like Liverpool. And because we've got some great schools, it's not a criticism, but if we could actually pull them all a bit closer together with all the other agencies.
So we've got the film agency coming in. Do you find that an amazing opportunity to tailor our curriculum in schools to the need of the area more?
Well, let's be honest, that's what should always happen, but traditionally hasn't happened. Because we want to make sure young people come through the education system with as many opportunities as possible, but crucially end up in a fulfilling, stable, well-paid, skilled job. So we've got to make sure the education system mirrors the opportunities in the local economy, different local businesses, but also as well, we can then use that to attract more companies and jobs here. If we could say, well, we've got real specialisms, and we have in this city, in lots of different fields, things like science, things like kind of digital, but also the kind of creative sector. The very niche areas as well, maritime kind of industry as well, when you think about the huge sort of role our city plays on the world stage as a global port, for example. And that's just three of many other kind of opportunities. So I think that has to be absolutely kind of huge. But I suppose equally in that space, how do we make sure young people are involved in shaping that? Because it isn't just about kind of usual suspects like me saying what jobs Ishmael and his friends should be going into. What are the career opportunities you want to sort of be able to pursue, and we've got to shape that as a two-way process. But I do think that ability to have a bit more local decision-making and autonomy will always be a good thing. And if you look at most successful European, North American and other cities and city regions, they tend to have greater ability for local decision-making than's traditionally been the case here in Britain. So a lot of opportunity, but we've got to make it happen, haven't we? So.
By the way, I was booing Andy Burnham as an Everton fan. I wasn't booing Andy Burnham as a person.
But you boo Everton fan. So you boo an Everton fan. Well, I take that quite personally.
I'm a red, I'm sorry.
I think whatever anyone's affiliations, they're always very welcome in this city. Let's just kind of make sure that's kind of highlighted.
I wasn't booing Andy Burnham, just for the record. You're watching Mersey Views, and it's time for Your City, Your Questions. This is the segment of the show where every month you get your questions in, and we have to give them to the leader, and he's got to answer them. He hasn't heard these before, so there's no script. It's off the bat. Give me question one.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Scott from the City Centre, and I'm very glad to be doing this Liverpool City Council comms podcast. Just to make my views and bring them forward. I've lived in the city centre now for well over 20 years. I've loved all the nighttime economy that we've got, the bills, the buildings, the ones that have complemented the old ones. But what disappoints me is this booming nighttime economy. It's not filtering down to the residents. I go to shops in the city centre, and I have to pass through alleyways that absolutely stink of urine. Something has to be done about this. I don't know whether bid only do for businesses or whether they're obliged with the money that the nighttime economy makes to put it back into the residents. I would like to think so. Another one of mine is a square where I live in, Cleveland Square. It's a beautiful old square. absolutely gorgeous Yorkshire stone that's gradually been taken away from us and filled in with tarmac. I don't like it, and I don't like the look. Our square dates back, it was the first Chinatown in Liverpool. People now cross over from the Albert Dock and pass through it. Now there's 2 new hotels on the corner on Park Lane, and it's not kept as it should be. The trees are very, very neglected, they never get any care, and it's a lovely square, and I think a little bit more care could be taken of it, please. That's my views anyway.
Nice and to the point, go on.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Marilyn. Really appreciate you kind of raising those issues. And genuinely, all of those kind of street level issues where we live always have to be some of the most important concerns that we focus on. So much so, one of the things we've been trying to do is put a lot more money back into street cleaning and the way that we look after all of our kind of public spaces, and particularly some of our green spaces. So in the past year, of the £15 million of extra money we actually got from the government, more than 7 million of that is going into street cleaning right across the city, and particularly how we improve parks, squares, open spaces. I think your point about kind of the cleanliness of some of those alleyways and some of those streets as well is really, really important. For many years, we've had a small street washing team, but we know that that's nowhere near enough. So actually we're increasing the number of street washers and the kind of frequency across the city centre and other key district centres. We're actually quadrupling that and investing a lot more into that to try to address those points, because you're absolutely right, the city centre is wonderful, the nighttime economy is fantastic as well, but clearly we've got to make sure after the party the night before we've got it back to exactly as we want it in the morning. I know how hard the team work that are out there, and they do that hand in hand with the business improvement district team that look after some of the other streets. But that's why we're investing a lot more money into it, to give them a greater chance to kind of improve it, but also as well because we know that residents just like you deserve as clean a city as we can deliver, and that's why we're putting the money into it. Now we've got a bit more from the government.
Nice. I liked it. She was cool. Could listen to it all day.
She was great, wasn't she, Marilyn? Yeah.
So, I like the pause when she said the square she lives in is lovely. I thought she was just making a point. She wasn't even asking a question.
I'm always more than happy to go out and see any of the residents that raise any of these different questions, take the team so we can actually go and have a proper look at the different things we can do to try to improve it.
Thank you for the question, Marilyn. Can we have question 2, please?
Hi, my name's Elaine and I live on Shield Road. My question is, when is the council going to address the problem of prostitutes in the area where there are 3 schools and open drug use and dealing plus alcoholism? A house on my street is being used as a brothel, and a lady in the same house tried to commit suicide by jumping from the first floor area. We have been left to rot.
And the mic drop at the end.
Yeah, and clearly that's, from Elaine's perspective, really not acceptable with some of the things that she's having to kind of deal with. I think, look, I know Shield Road very, very well in the sense that it's the middle of Kensington, where I'm lucky and privileged to represent. There's a lot we've been doing around sex working and other kind of criminal issues like drug dealing with the local police team led by Inspector Hogan. So much so we've invested a lot in recent years in some really high quality CCTV to try to tackle the problem. So the police have got the ability of identifying some of the perpetrators, be that people that are dealing drugs, be that curb crawlers or others, so they can actually take some of those prosecutions. I'd be really keen to understand the individual property that she's raising, so we can raise that with the police and look at how we address that location or any other as well. But it's one of those that we've been working with Merseyside Police, particularly focusing on this for quite some time, and we always know this will be an issue that we've got to keep a real close focus on, because Elaine is right. People shouldn't have to live next door to issues like this, and working with the police, we've got to keep on addressing them.
Yeah, get in touch. Let us know. I mean, they were some hard-hitting questions. I was expecting it to be like, me bins haven't been took out for 2 weeks and stuff. That was not what I expected.
Yeah, but I think that the bit I'm always very conscious of, though, Dylan, is that anything anyone wants to ask, good, bad or indifferent, I'm always more than happy to answer it with a straight answer, but also as well try to address it. And equally, always more than happy to sort of go and have a look specifically at some of the different locations that people raise, take the teams with us and look at what more we can do to try to address it. And it's important people have got the ability to raise whatever issue they want to, from very tough stuff all the way through to much more light-hearted stuff. But that, at the end of the day, we work for the people of the city, so we should be prepared to answer any questions they want to raise.
Yes, so do get in touch. And let's shift on to a bit of a lighter note. I want to know, Liam, what's going on?
Well, we're just about to enter into the month of August. Absolutely fantastic that we're into the summertime. But there'll be lots of people sat at home thinking, what can I do with the kids, the grandkids, the nephews, the nieces, young people that we know. And I think that's a real focus for us over the summertime. Lots of different opportunities for young people in the city. There's everything from some of the kind of attractions and meals that we've seen some VAT reductions from the government, so making it a little bit more affordable, through to lots of different free activities that are going on across the city. Everything from the free gym and swim passes that we're doing at Lifestyles Leisure Centres. Lots of our museums in the city and the libraries and our parks, all of those are kind of free to go and visit. But what's also great, in the month of August, for all children and young people, it is free to use the bus nationally. Wow. So get out and about across the city and beyond. And if you want to know some of the specific events that are going on, just go on to the Culture Liverpool website, where there's a list of all the different activities that are happening across Liverpool.
Lovely stuff. And what a lovely first episode, by the way.
Been superb, hasn't it?
That was
fantastic.
Great. You need to make sure you subscribe and follow whatever it is you're watching or listening right now, because this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. And if you want some questions answered by the leader, you need to visit liverpoolexpress.co.uk/leadership-questions and get your questions in. Unbelievable. And from me, myself, and everyone at the Liverpool City Council, stay safe out there. We'll see you next month. I was meant to say look after each other.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Keep it in.